Boy, I love talking about Chris Rufo. No, I don't. I'm lying to you. I'm lying to you right now. There's not a part of me at all that likes talking about Chris Rufo. But I guess we're going to have to talk about him right now anyways, because, well, turns out affirmative action bad, but it's okay when he does it. I guess it's okay when he does it. So let's go ahead and take a look here. But first, let's get into the fan art section. The first one we have here is from Axo that has cream. Just a little idea I had since jars are overused and the bottle isn't used enough. I mean, I'd like the bottle to be a part of every single one of my models that's ever existed, but I don't have the money to add the bottle to every single model that I have. But I'd like to. Next one we have here is from Agent Zapdos. I don't draw much, but have a fan art. Aw. Omniversal destruction is just letting Slimesaurus out of the bottle. Everything dies. The last one we have is from Axo that has cream. Yes, one donut, please. Do you take Neccoin? No. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and get right into things. Chris Rufo? Lord Filthy's asking who Chris Rufo is. I'll go ahead and let you know real quick. So basically, imagine this, right? Imagine it's a few years ago and you're hearing all the hubbub about CRT, critical race theory, how it's destroying American civilization. It's the worst thing in the world. It's absolutely awful and you need to be afraid of it. That was Chris Rufo. He was the one who started throwing out documents for people to use so that they could talk about the Marxist takeover of schools and critical race theory destroying the world. That was Rufo. That was Chris Rufo. So now if I asked you, can we talk about when a year and a half ago, everybody began their freak out in full? I mean, it was already happening to lesser degrees, but they started making it a problem in mass to talk about LGBTQ groomers in school, right? People who were grooming your children to be gay and trans and, I don't know, just better people than you. Do you remember the freak out about that? Chris Rufo did that. He's like the guy who is most responsible for that. So, let's go ahead and see what the next big thing is for him here. New College of Florida, under Chris Rufo's tutelage, is attempting to undo a left-wing campus culture. There's a left-wing culture because they tend to be more aligned with the facts. It's weird that way. By enacting what is essentially affirmative action for men. In 1 year, first-year male enrollment jumped 23 percentage points, including students, incoming student GPAs, and test scores, however, went down. Weird. Weird how that works. Also, I'm hearing all kinds of borfs. All kinds of borfs. So a name you don't know, but he's quietly just the shittiest person ever. Got it? Basically, New College of Florida embraces affirmative action for men. In an attempt to make the student body more conservative, Chris Rufo says the school is actively rebalancing the ratio of male and female students. This was achieved primarily by the aggressive recruitment of athletes. The school didn't even have a formal athletic department until this year. Now, athletes make over 1/3 of incoming freshmen. 60% of them are male baseball players. The massive change has largely been achieved by aggressively recruiting athletes. Previously, the school had no formal athletics program. Now they make up over 1/3 of incoming freshmen. While it's unclear just how many of these athletes are male, it's worth noting that baseball, which also comprises 60% of including student athletes, is a male-only sport, and Rufo affirmed the ideological drive behind the decision to expand athletics, telling Goldberg that the school introduced an athletic program in hopes of making its student body more male and therefore more conservative. As the male population at New College increased, they admitted students' academic performance has also declined. The incoming class has lower test scores, lower GPAs than last year's incoming freshmen, with the average ACT score down to 24 from 27 last year. Student athletes also scored a paltry 22 on average, yet received merit scholarships at a higher rate than other students. I hate that. Can I take it aside real quick? And taking aside real quick to talk about how absolutely batshit stupid it is that we even have college programs to get people into schools as athletes. It's really dumb, okay? Let me explain why it's dumb. It'll take just a second. If you are a country that cares predominantly about entertaining the masses, not producing people who will be worthwhile to society, but people who are entertaining, right? People like me who are useless. If your only goal is to create those kinds of people, then you make sure that there are incentives where you will have people not focusing on their academics, not focusing on being better students, not focusing on learning, but focusing instead on athleticism. If you were a country that cared more about getting more people into schools where they can learn shit, and you want more people to be smarter, then you would, instead of having a wide understanding that college courses are given to people who do good at sports, and they get full ride scholarships for being good at sports, you would instead give scholarships to everybody. Basically, you would let people just go to school, right? Most other developed countries, do you know how they do university? You know how they do university? Well, they don't make people pay for it up front. It's paid for with tax dollars. It's a thing that you can choose to go to after primary school, and it is a thing that the country benefits from largely because you get more people going into nursing programs, going into engineering programs, getting stuff done. In America, the culture is more whatever pays your bills is what's important. So we have people who fight tooth and nail for you to not go to college, but go to trade school. And that's not me saying that trade school environments are bad or that it's bad that we have more people learning welding and stuff from trade school. What I'm saying is we have a shortage of pilots. We have a shortage of doctors. We have a shortage of people in fields that require college degrees. But we make college degrees so hard to get. And two of the avenues to get college degrees that we have are athletic performance and going into the military. If you were a country that valued its citizens, then you would actually want people educated, more well-educated, because your country as a whole would function better. But instead, what we have is a country that does not look after its citizens. We have a country that wants to look over its own self-interests greedily. So what does it do? America knows that it needs two things as a whole. It needs entertainment to keep the stupid masses doing their thing, and it needs a military that is strong enough to make sure that its will can be imposed on the rest of the goddamn world, and itself when it's needed. So wouldn't you know it, two of the easiest ways to get a college scholarship is to either be one of those entertainers for the masses, or be one of the people who goes into the military and therefore is making sure that America's greedy interests are maintained. Wow, weird that. Kind of a weird system you have there. It's almost like if those were the things you cared about as a country, then you would make sure that the better life and the health insurance and the college and all that stuff would be going to the people who serve your interest. And lo and behold, we live in that world. America's interests lie on the entertainment industry and the military complex, and those are the areas where you are guaranteed to get scholarships. Weird. Why student change demographics? Because girls are more liberal than boys. It's almost like conservatism, by and large, benefits males more. So you get more conservative guys. Weird that. And don't pretend like it benefits women to be more conservative. It only benefits cis women right now to be more conservative in their own minds because they think getting trans women out of their places is going to somehow make them better, safer, and what have you. But if we roll the clock back far enough, then we're going to find that they just didn't have the right to freaking vote. It's almost as if this lovely thing happens with progressivism, where if you start to roll it back on one person, you eventually roll it back on everybody. Leopards, faces, etc. So in order to make a Hillsdale of the South, you need more men, even if women are more academically qualified. Said, never mind whether young women are actually that much more liberal than their male counterparts, despite such claims, only 30% of 12th grade girls identified as a liberal, according to a recent survey. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Maybe, I guess, in the South, the women are also more conservative, stupidly. But even if one accepts the premise that female-led institutions are more left-wing than male ones, New College's response to engineer a more conservative institution by reducing female participation in it is inherently in conflict with the strong defense of meritocracy and opposition to affirmative action espoused by Rufo and his allies. Young women are outpacing their male counterparts in the academic sphere. Girls now comprise roughly 60% of college students. Hey guys, if you're lonely, maybe you should go to college. Maybe that would solve that problem. While young men's failure to academically compete with their female classmates is worth our concern, the solution is not to lower the bar for men to obtain collegiate gender parity, something many selective colleges have been quietly doing for years, nor is the solution to an illiberal left-wing campus culture to engineer a more male and supposedly more conservative student body. And the ambassador says, I don't fully disagree with military recruitment, but I don't think that having a class period dedicated to it should be the norm, at least from where I'm from. So, as somebody who's a military kid, I respect people who go into the military. I do. My entire family's military. Here's the thing, though. It is indisputable that the United States, as a military superpower, is kind of shitty. Like, we're kind of shitty to a lot of places we go to. Said leopard skin, the enemy from Mulan. No, the leopards eating faces party. It's a just Google it. Just Google it. Just last month, Russo praised equal treatment of individuals regardless of race, sex, or other characteristics. Yet he admits that New College is rebalancing the ratio of students by gender to make the school more conservative. What are the comments here? Yeehaw! 1950s, here we come! So can we please stop calling it conservative? It's not conservative at all. It's purely regressive. I wish that we could actually make a distinction between conservative and regressive, but it doesn't exist largely. The same way that conservatives believe that there's no distinction between liberal and like communist. It's when you're on the other side, it can be a little hard to tell the difference, you know. So my first girlfriend that I met was in college in my chem courses. Said he has to make it more conservative. Rape culture on campus. Make women scared. That's the plan. I don't know if it's necessarily that, but it's not fascism when we do it. Jesus Christ. Anyway, this is baffling to me. I mean, it's not really baffling. It's baffling if I think about it by taking a step back, but it's not baffling if I actually use the information that I've learned about people like Chris Rufo and Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh over the years. So, here's the thing. Ideological consistency for most of conservatism is not part of the plan. Ideological inconsistency is largely the feature and not the bug. You get to hold a lot of conflicting opinions without actually marrying yourself to any of them, and you get to not take time to consider your own predicaments and opinions as much. For instance, take the conservative states that have higher rates of teen pregnancy and yet also have higher rates of abstinence-only education. They insist on the abstinence-only education because at a base value, it makes sense, right? Have less sex, make less babies, but the sex is going to happen no matter what. So instead of making sure everybody knows condom's good, you focus on the demonized sex part, and then all you do is you make it more tantalizing for young people, and then suddenly they're doing the sex anyway. They're just not doing it safely, or at least safer. I've never liked the idea of going like, aha, it's just safer sex. No, just call it safe sex. It's fine. Even things that are safe can hurt you, all right? Everything is a matter of degrees. It's the same thing with that. Or, you know, when you come to the conservative person who is incredibly transphobic and yet has a girlfriend or a wife who is trans, and but the ways they describe them are all derogatory, and they vote conservative, and they basically do everything in their power to hurt people who are trans around them, but uniquely they don't do it to their partner who's trans, because I guess they're different and special. Weirdly. It's inconsistent, but the inconsistency there is, again, it's the feature. The inconsistency is the feature. Conservatism, what it should be, in an idealistic world, conservatism should just be the slowing factor for progressivism, right? Progressivism wants the radical change to make things more equal or what have you, and conservatism is there to make sure that it is not moving as fast as it is. But that's not the world we live in. The world we live in is one where most of conservatism is ideological, inconsistent hodgeboggery that is just trying to roll us back to a time where women couldn't vote. And if you don't believe that, then please go see The Transformed Wife. These are things she literally believes. They said forbidden fruit is sweeter. Yep. Yep. So, why do we find ourselves in this world? This is where I gotta ask, like, anybody who's in my audience, if you have any beliefs that are incongruent with one another, like you hate gay people, but you got a gay son, or you hate black people, but, you know, your daughter brought a black guy home, please do me a favor, sit down and just spend some time with yourself. Evaluate where you're coming from. Evaluate where that is, why you're there. And if you don't realize you've got some inconsistent views, then, you know, maybe take some time and ask some of your friends, like, hey, have I said anything that's really weird and inconsistent that maybe I should reevaluate? Even if it's something small, like liking Magic the Gathering, but hating everybody who plays the game. And so you have no way to play the game because it's multiplayer. You know, little things like that don't add up. And the ambassador says, one of the weirdest anti-sex ed claims I've seen is that it makes children easier to groom. No, it makes it harder to groom them. If the kid knows what sex is early, then they know how to say no. They know that it's a thing that they don't have to, just try once. They'll like it. No. They know what it is. They don't need to touch it. They don't need to touch you. Knowledge is power. It can also be a wonderful shield. But anyway, as always, everybody, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. Don't be a Chris Rufo. And insert end of video tagline here.